Welcome to the Call to Adventure. Using fairy tales, famous images, and historical facts, this video makes relevant the hero's journey as a map for your own journey. Once upon a time, it's how a story starts. A story never begins twice upon a time. Why? Because an audience hearing the story doesn't care about all the times anyone kept making the same mistake. Being stubborn or stupid, that's not a story. It's only once the lesson is learned. Only then is there a story worth hearing. And for the person living this story, not the audience, there is a wonderful guarantee. They can rest assured that once the lesson is learned, they will never travel that path again. You can't unknow what you know. So from either the perspective of the audience or the protagonist, a story really is once upon a time. My name is Ann Atkins, and thanks for joining me in this Call to Adventure video. In my background as a counselor, public speaker, or as an author of 3 biographies, I find the most immediate way for people to understand their own journey is through stories. This isn't an original thought. We have been using stories since the dawn of time to help us navigate our own journey. So my thought is, if we can recognize the stages and characters in stories, it will help expedite our own learning, the lessons in our life, and get more quickly to the point of once. So, if we studied the stories throughout time, both fact and fiction, there reveals a repeated motif of stages. The patterns, which is shown here on this diagram, is named the hero's journey. This Call to Adventure video relates these stages to your life. This cycle does not just play out only for the young, it repeats throughout all of our life. So for people of all ages and cultures, learning the hero's journey helps us understand the experiences of our own life, and it can prepare us for the road ahead, so that once upon a time is our story. Fundamental to our discussion is recognizing the duality in our journey. Like the 2 rails of the DNA spiral, our journey has 2 rails. One rail of the spiral portrays the outer expedition, which is seen and shared by others, such as families or our careers. The other parallel rail is the inner journey, the internal struggles and triumphs, our doubts, fears, patterns of thinking, that internal dialogue that no one sees or hears. So this ethereal double helix, a sacred DNA, is common to everyone. Like we all have a thumbprint, and yet our thumbprints are different. And back to the DNA model, if you look at the connecting rungs, I would say that would be our decisions and insights in our daily life. If we are to make our life a once-upon-a-time story worth telling, those decisions and insights will require courage. Poets, like Frost, have penned this path of courage, the road less traveled. Why? Because there is no map. We must figure it out as we go. Knowing the hero's journey will help, so let's get started. Stage 1 of the hero's journey is our ordinary world. An ordinary world is familiar and brings assurance. It's our comfort zone. And yet, your heart is restless. Repeating a prior journey, it's not only impossible, it's pointless. Relics of the starry-eyed teenage stage collect dust. As we age, the challenges of college, career, or kids have ended. A new job, another cruise, or the French cooking class give only distraction, not direction. You are living the life you wanted, but a restless dissatisfaction is palpable when we stay too long in the ordinary world. You are not suffering with depression, and you don't need a midlife crisis. A shifting wind is stirring from an untold direction, and you don't have a map. Listen, and you can hear. Eternity is echoing the ancient question, who am I? Answering this question brings us out of the ordinary world. Coming to any foreign vista is unsettling. It feels deserted at best, God-forsaken at worst. Good. That's how a new journey starts. You can't outgrow the hero's journey. A new chapter is starting. Only you can turn the page, making us the hero in our own journey. Evelyn Underhill describes the hero leaving the ordinary world. He goes because he must, as Galahad went toward the Grail, knowing that for those who can live it, this alone is life. In fiction, the hero on the journey is portrayed like this. Although the real picture of a hero is this. Across cultures and age. Leaving the ordinary world, we go it alone. Maybe that is the compelling love we have for images of a lighthouse standing against crashing waves. The hero's journey requires courage, those tough decisions that we must make alone. Aristotle told us, courage is the first virtue that makes all other virtues possible. So with courage, let's explore characters and stages of the journey. Out of the blue, unprovoked, facts arrive. This character, a herald, delivers a message after which life will never be the same. Can we stop the herald? No. The paradigm shift to your journey has already occurred. An event alters our life. A natural disaster pushes us to a new reality. A spiritual experience makes it so we can never go back to the way we were. Silence ensues and our frenzied brain tries to rewire information. We rant and shout, "That's not fair." We scramble to understand, use coping techniques that worked before, and then realize we must learn and grow. Our old map is useless. How to live in this new paradigm? Our resistance holds back new understanding. And evasion will bury us alive in a living grave. Or, in the aftermath of the herald's announcement, call for integrity to burn off the fog of confusion, and you will see a compass. Demand courage to disband clouds of doubt. The North Star is revealed. Beseech joy for the strength to move forward. Energy will renew your spirit. Henry Miller explained leaving the ordinary world. All growth is a leer in the dark, a spontaneous, unpremeditated act without the benefit of experience. And so, a herald has announced the call to adventure, which is stage 2 of the hero's journey. Thrust from our ordinary world, we are caught unaware when the call to adventure appears, where our old map doesn't work, and our well-worn t-shirts from "been there" and "done that," they don't fit. Temptation suggests that we refuse the call. Visiting ghosts gives Scrooge the chance to answer the call. Scrooge remains defiant and will not change his ways. Confidence and self-reliance reinforce his walls of security. For Scrooge and us, walls block the adventures that might strengthen us, Walls prevent the expansion of our life. Walls make our living a coffin. The adventure is always outside the walls. If Scrooge had not faced the lonely grave of his future, there would be no story. The name Tiny Tim would have no meaning for us. The fictional story of Scrooge is forever. Why? Because we know this story is true to our own life. Scrooge dared to make an existential shift. Do we? If we reject the call, this stage is called refuse the call to adventure. Your phone rings. The caller ID shows adventure. You can walk away. You don't have to pick up. It's a call, not a demand. However, I can tell you, adventure won't leave a voice message. No number is listed to call back. Not answering this call to adventure stage, a journey is stalled. Even if you are asking yourself, who am I? And why am I here? These questions will remain rhetorical. You are thinking about life, not living life. We feel we have all the time in the world. We don't. If insights came from staying in the ordinary world, you wouldn't still have the questions. When who am I devours your day, and why am I here haunts your dreams, for the sake of our existence, we must seek the answer. So, if you previously didn't answer the call to adventure, don't worry, the call will come again. Remember the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, which leads us to a character that will be a part of our journey, a mentor. In the tale of Pinocchio, a cricket plays the role of mentor, cajoling, encouraging, guiding our young Pinocchio. In history, it's people. Here are 3 examples worth knowing. Confronting Russian officials, this Polish father lost his job and a home for his family. In spite of economic hardships, he encouraged his daughter to study science, and this was in the 1800s. As a mentor to his daughter, you won't recognize his name, Władysław Sklodowski. You know his daughter, who discovered radium and polonium. To this day, she is the only 2-time Nobel laureate in 2 categories of science, Madame Marie Curie. Or this unknown mentor named Sarah Bush. Upon becoming a stepmother, Sarah defied her new husband, who was cruel and demanding to his own son. Lucky for us, Sarah stood her ground to encourage her stepson to read and learn. The child was Abraham Lincoln. This teacher, Mademoiselle Sylvestre, is obscure in history. She encouraged an insecure teenage girl to reach beyond her comfort zone and to challenge the status quo of society. The world will know her student, Eleanor Roosevelt. It should be noted that mentors will not be with us for the whole journey. The next stage is crossing the threshold. The crossing can look like this, or this. However, before we make the crossing, there have been those who would create doubt, question our decisions, challenge our authority. For General Washington, it was the British Empire. Or for the teenager going to college, who knows which person in her life was there to cast doubt? They could look like this. What makes this image particularly ironic is just about everyone is smiling. Those casting doubts will do it with a smile while they say, Do you really think that is a good idea? Or, are you sure you want to do this? For the hero's journey, this character is called the Threshold Guardian. In fiction, the Threshold Guardian is usually portrayed as a troll who says, "Halt!" A Threshold Guardian stops us from going any further with the simple question, "Who goes there?" Who being the key word. If you don't know who you aren't going anywhere. In the hyperbole of this Monty Python scene, the troll is called the Keeper of the Bridge, and the bridge is named the Bridge of Death. In our own journey, we come to this bridge, and the troll can be a coworker, family member, or a friend. We can thank the trolls in our life for stopping us before we are ready to cross, because the bridge stays true to its name. Crossing the bridge of death, that means the old self will die. Keeping in mind, this video is an overview of the hero's journey. The previous line, "The old self will die," good grief, that could be a whole book. But for now, we move ahead and cross the threshold. Leaving behind the ordinary world, we made a decision and crossed the bridge. In the past, our predicaments of poverty, power, or pride may have prodded us to cross a looming threshold. For later life thresholds, these dramas may no longer be what pushes us. Instead, we are propelled by higher causes, and still we must ratchet up our raw courage and cross the threshold. We don't know where this decision will lead, but we know the outer action answers the inner question, who am I? Manifesting in life our inner ideals brings power, wonder, and glory to our journey. Like magic, results will materialize. In fiction, this alchemy is symbolized as a wizard. In life, this alchemy creates an iconic leader. Stage 6 will be Test of the New World. Crossing the threshold lands us in new circumstances. We face new tests. Flying monkeys, intimidating bosses, and vengeful ex-spouses. A test will tear you apart. Or we can be like Dorothy. We avoid the test when we fall asleep, surf the web, pour a drink, or overbook our schedule. A test will challenge our status quo, crack our resistance, and propel us toward change. Luckily, we have allies along the way. Lion, Scarecrow, and Tin Man are a classic portrayal of allies for the hero, and yet Lion is having another meltdown. Tin Man needs oil again. Scarecrow is on fire. You are busy with your journey. So do you. Tell Tin Man that you can help him when you return. Warn Scarecrow he should carry his own damn bucket of water. And for Tearful Lion, you just shouted at him, "Get over it." How we treat allies is often our blind spot. Any delusion that the finish line is the purpose of our journey can be our downfall. The holy grail of the hero journey is our character. Anything else is a mirage. And just like mentors who only go so far in the journey with us, this applies to allies. We face our fears alone. Next is the character Shapeshifter, or better known as a con artist. Conned, deceived, or bamboozled, who would think not to trust an apple? Shapeshifters create confusion. The good guy shifts to the bad guy, and we didn't see it coming. How does that happen? It's not magic. The naive hero believes the sham, Snow White trusts that the apple is a gift. And then the switch occurs, see it? The apple shifts from gift to bait, and Snow White backs away. A naive hero doesn't want to see a sham, and Snow White takes the apple anyway. Until she sees there will be lots of apples. And before we get angry with shapeshifters and say, how can they do this to me? Let's look at the me. We see what we want. If we really are that lion, a shapeshifter won't come near us. It's that simple. And next, we come to the character shadows. Not the scary shadows of others, that would be easy, but our shadows. Peter Pan was determined to keep his shadow. We want to keep our shadows too, and we respond, that's just the way I am. Being attached to our shadowy quirks will hamper, frustrate, impede, prevent, and obstruct our ability to grow up. Like Peter Pan, we don't want to grow up, and we add, everyone has a shadow. Well, true. However, in the hero's journey of coming home to our authentic self, that self has an original shadow, which is not akin to selfish indulgence. This shadow will dare us to do things. This shadow dares us to express creativity, imagination, individuality, beauty, ingenuity. Living with this shadow, we feel like we are flying. This shadow is desire. With desire, we are exuberant, full of life. Living with this shadow, a shadow of desire, we can stay young forever. It's the true story behind Peter Pan. Next, we come to the character trickster. A trickster wins by wit, not brawn. When a trickster is asked, "What do you bring to a knife fight?" a trickster will respond, "A gun." Traditionally, we think of the trickster as a form of enemy. However, tricks, in the hands of the good guy, are a powerful tool. If you don't have a cool cloak, it's okay. Eleanor Roosevelt, in her grandma guise of pearls and patent leather purse, is also a trickster. An official commented on Eleanor, "Never have I seen naivety and cunning so gracefully blended." Or this trickster, Harriet Tubman, who couldn't read, but she would pretend to read the newspaper to fool her pursuers and avoid capture. And there are tricks of the trade for a trickster. They will cut down an oversized ego. They win with cunning. They'll point out hypocrisy. They challenge the status quo. They'll tug on your mask. Unapologetic for tactics. They provoke authority figures, and they exploit any shortcut. Do we dare use this bag of tricks for the good of our communities? Can we thumb our nose at superficial social mores designed to keep people in their place? Can we point out hypocrisy, exploit a shortcut? For those of us raised with a strong work ethic, and we must fight fair and square, being a trickster feels like cheating. We need to get over it. There are times we need to be a trickster. And then there are the enemies. This enemy. Or this. Walls rise, doors lock, shackles clamp us down. The enemy traps its mark. Have we faced an enemy with these black arts? No. A diabolical force plotting our demise is as likely as Santa coming down the chimney. Is there adversity? Yes. There is natural disaster, economic downturn, disease. Yes. Characters in our life to cause havoc? Yes. But no evil power. So, is there an enemy? How are we bound by walls, fetters, and doors? Our distrust raises walls. Maybe we pour a drink rather than pour out the truth in our heart. Our dread becomes leg irons. We avoid the solitude that nature offers. We work rather than attend a celebration. Our doubt locks doors. It's true. We can be our own worst enemy, trapped within a cell of our own making. Our courage turns the key. The next stage is approaching the cave. We know we must enter. In a movie, the hero looks up at the sun before entering the darkness. In a movie, the hero stumbles forward into the unknown. And in a movie, the hero emerges from the cave, having faced his fears, richer with wisdom and ready for the next stage of the journey. Except this isn't a movie, this is real life. And the real cave is inside us. Deep within is where we face our fear. It is the cave we must enter to find the treasure, the answer for the next stage of our journey. Dare we take responsibility and enter? Do we face dark challenges? Will we ignore the list of excuses? Do we continue the call to adventure or stop here for an early grave? It's our choice. No one is pushing us. Although, entering the cave, going deep within our own self, we continue our journey, earning the rights and riches of an authentic self. Avoid responsibility, and we become an orphan to our own life. The coming stage is the ordeal. In 1348, the French town of Calais was under siege by King Edward III of England. King Edward offered to spare the starving French village if their leaders, the burghers of Calais, would surrender themselves for execution. The artist Auguste Rodin immortalized the scene. The burghers must walk out from Calais bringing the keys to the city and wearing nooses around their necks. This is an ordeal. An ordeal alters the course of our life. We aren't sure we will ever laugh, love, or live again. An ordeal can last months, not minutes. Ask the patient who has suffered with a long-term illness. An ordeal doesn't just shake us to the core. It rips the core from us. Ask the teenager who saw a friend murdered. An ordeal punches justice in the face and cracks her jaw. Ask the mother whose only son is killed in a senseless war. It doesn't matter we were playing by the rules of the game. It doesn't matter we were humble and never taunted the gods. Crushed to concede that our greatest efforts, prayers, and plans are not enough to stop an ordeal that devastates our life. We slump in despair. Anguish wrenches from us the scream, "That's not fair." And deep in this cave of the ordeal, those words repeat, repeat, repeat. This is not an echo, but the primal howl of all ancient heroes, the death cry of our hope for what life should have been. And yet, the words of Walt Whitman must challenge us. either define the moment or the moment will define you. At this crux of death, when we define ourself, we are reborn. And to let you know, for the burghers of Calais, King Edward III, his wife, Queen Philippa, intervene. The burghers return to Calais. For a hero to continue, the hero must come to stage 9, seize the reward, because no one gives us a reward. Which is what makes this scene funny. The Wizard of Oz is going to give each of them their reward. The irony is Scarecrow already has a brain, Lion has courage, and Tin Man has a heart. But they don't know it, so they don't have it. And we know the token trinket from the wizard still misses the mark. It's comical in a movie, but not in real life. It will be a paradigm shift when we reach beyond the role of comic relief. We must grasp who we truly are. The journey is a means of forging our outer self while the inner self rids the dross of pretense. The glory of our existence is being the only creature able to consciously evolve. Human beings have the choice to take being human as far as we can. Only through the journey do we acquire this epiphany again and again and again. Like young Arthur, who will someday be a king, we must seize this sword, bringing us to the paradox of the proverb. The reward is the journey. Is this when we can finally say, "And they lived happily ever after"? Not yet. The ordinary world did not become perfect while we were away on the journey. The neurosis, flaws, habits, desires, or addictions, our own or others, are still there, because the next stage will be the road back. And the road back will not be this smooth. Family, friends, and coworkers may not welcome the new you. Who will be the butt of their jokes if you are sober? Who will shoulder their anger if you quit the role of appeaser? Who will be their crutch if you follow your own ambitions? On the road back, doubt walks beside us and asks, was it really worth it? Revenge appears and says, take me with you. However, if we chat with doubt or take revenge, we drop the rewards. Don't. Even at this late stage, a journey can be reset, and you will need to go through it all again. Push to the finish line, bringing us to the next stage, resurrection. Continual choices that take courage, leaving us free to keep moving forward and up from the ashes of that ordeal. Greek mythology symbolized the stage of resurrection with the phoenix bird, destroyed by the fire of an ordeal, rising from the ashes of its enemy. In today's version of the resurrection, we see the hero emerges from a death scene and triumphant music swells in the background. The camera zooms in to show us the confident gleam in the hero's eye. This stage solidifies that the ordeal will not be the death of us. Whether we hearken to the phoenix bird or the cool black dude, we rise from the ashes. Our journey brings us home. In this next stage, return with the elixir. We return with what we have learned. We bring it home, and it feels like magic. The integrity of our return is uninhibited. In myths, the hero returns with an elixir that transforms. In reality, no magic potion, No twirling wand, no fairy dust, no new age incantation will give results. Instead, it will be an image like this, carrying the underlying theme that the return carries with it new growth that will strengthen the home and community. We see why coming home stories, they're a classic theme, and throughout time, they stir our soul. We tingle with excitement, realizing our transformation has taken place. It is real. There is no greater story. It's the greatest story since the beginning of time, repeated in stories, fact or fiction. So we return to our village, living the duality of our quest. We are singular entities, each on our own journey, and yet we are part of the village. Worldwide, we share with everyone the fact that we are each trying to answer the call to adventure. Recognizing this shared spiritual blood with all people, our differences disappear. We have circled back to the beginning example. Everyone has a thumbprint. Mightier magic than any Merlin is the impact of understanding what prophets have been trying to tell us. We are one. Our return to the village encourages those in the village yearning to experience their own call to adventure. And we tell them, go. In closing, the hero's journey can be seen in the lives of Eleanor Roosevelt, Golda Meir, and Marie Curie. Their stories are encouragement and inspiration for your own journey, which is why I wrote their biographies. Each book is around 225 pages. While being historically accurate, the essence of each book is to relay the struggles and journey as it would be relevant to the reader's life. The books and ebooks are available on Amazon or my website, annatkins.com. If you have an event and you would like me to come as a speaker, I've given presentations on Eleanor, Golda, and Marie for events at the National Press Club, various civic groups, and for the National Women's History Day in Washington, D.C. So I'm available to give presentations on any of the three ladies, and now also this topic, the call to adventure. It's important for us to recognize the work of photographers, poets, painters, all artists who are helping us learn to live a richer, more meaningful life. I'm grateful to those listed here to be able to use their work to help illustrate this narration. For those wanting more of an in-depth analysis of the hero's journey, please consider the books by Joseph Campbell. And to those watching this video, thank you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. If you would like to be added to an email list for future videos, please let me know at my email, ann@annatkins.com. And I do hope this video has encouraged you on your own hero's journey. Make it a great day. Bye now.